What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about the Kizer Vanguard Sheepdog, a Chris Conaway design. This is a $90 blade that I got from Blade HQ. This one happens to be in black micarta, linen type, 3.25-inch blade made of CTS BD1N steel with a liner lock. It is in fact a pocket cleaver, and it is quite large. If you like cleavers, you're going to love this one. I have only handled two myself of the pocket cleaver types. I'm not a big fan of those, and you can see one of the weaknesses that I have there on this particular one is much like the ZT06520562. This particular one, if you don't press down as far as you can on the redeployment, you'll end up losing it up there. So that's one of the weaknesses that I do have, and I'll just leave that out up front. In terms of comparisons for this particular knife, I would say, other cleavers that I have handled is the CJRB Crag. This one is in burlap micarta, and this one was a $44 knife, I'd want to say. And then, of course, if you're going to be talking cleavers, you got to be talking kitchen, which would be the Spidey Chef from Spyderco. So those would be kind of some comparison knives in terms of use. In terms of an actual, if you want to compete with the big boys sort of thing. One particular one that I thought of, because it is also in CTS BD1N steel, is, and of course this may not even fit on the screen here, this is the Dowstrong Omega Series Santoku. So this one was actually, I bought this one specifically because it had the CTS BD1N steel, which is a great stainless steel, can actually run through the dishwasher just fine without really serious of a problem. So in terms of the pros of this particular one of the great things about it is it does in fact have an elevated handle. So if you take a look, you can get a fair amount of your knife on a cutting board or cutting surface if you need to there. And we're going to kind of show you a little comparison of those. It does have in fact nested liners in this particular one, so it makes for very thin, and they also happen to be skeletonized. I really like that. Great choice of steel, and it has a great long saber flat grind, and an actually useful swedge on the top of there for this particular one. And so this one sliced fantastically in terms of like straight through, and it wasn't the greatest cutter, but we'll talk about that in terms of like very thick, heavy use because of those thin liners. It does in fact have a fairly decent working pocket clip, kind of deep, but I don't mind actually having a little bit of thumb to pull that out of, so it did work. It actually had a good enough ramp for that use. And, so those are really the pros of this particular one. Oh, also a great stone wash on this particular one, so you can just scratch this thing to all get out. It's actually quite beautiful in proper lighting. In terms of the cons, I would say the flipper tab gets in the way in two different ways. One is when you're actually trying to cut, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this here, is it actually, on this flat surface, when you're trying to cut, you're going to notice that flipper tab doesn't let you get used to the whole second half of the knife there. You just have that front half. So even though they gave you space to have your fingers off the board, that flipper tab kind of gets in the way there. In terms of like another one, probably let me compare the Spidey Chef. Even in a pinch grip, again, with this one, the Spidey Chef, you can actually get the full use of that blade all the way. So that kind of missed the mark a little bit in terms of if you're going to kind of be a food prep sort of design, for us. It is also very tall, this particular blade. And of course, it's going to take up a lot of your pocket, though I was actually able to reach in and get my wallet out of there. And it was quite thin, and that was one of the good things about that. However, being so thin, when I did cut down on some really thick, some Costco boxes, double thick, it was not the most comfortable to use. So really, as a kitchen user, camping, this thing's pretty darn good, and very fidget friendly, of course. Great Kizer action on this one. It is on bearings. I haven't yet taken this apart, but I have run through a lot of water on this one and got it inside the bearings. No problems at all. Overall, what I would like to say is if you like cleavers in your pocket, you're going to be, I think, hard pressed to find something that's that's going to beat this particular one. I do know that having handled two of these, I'm no longer a cleaver person. Not that I was ever really, but I did want to give them a try, and it was useful as a cutting tool, certainly in the kitchen. But I would say that obviously it's not going to be kicking anything like an actual large kitchen use knife in there. So if you did find this video useful, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day. Take care now.